So we're going to start a new project today, which is installing this click-lock laminate flooring. We'll get everything demoed and get down to the subfloor, and then I'll show you the steps that you need to install this flooring. So, let's get started. So in addition to doing the flooring, I'm also going to be replacing the existing clamshell base molding. I'll just put in new standard colonial base. I'll get all that taken out, and then we'll get into demoing the existing carpet and the padding, and we'll get all that cleaned up. A tip is to run your utility knife across the paint line on the top of the trim. This trim doesn't have too great of a caulk line on top. Most of it is broken free of the wall, so it'll remove easily. But if you have an existing caulk line, you want to just cut that caulk line, and that way when you pull the trim, it doesn't rip off the paint. I tore the drywall a little bit here, but at least I have a little bit of give room because the new base molding is a little bit taller, so it'll cover that rip. Alright, so now I'm going to take the carpet up. What I'll do is I'll cut it into strips so it makes it easier to manage, and I'll just roll them up. And then I'll just take them out into my truck. I've already got some stuff going to the dump, so it's convenient for me to actually take it right out. Alright, so now we'll go ahead, we got the carpet removed, we'll take up the padding. I'm going to re-screw all this down with, Torx head deck mates basically, and then I'll just reset all these nails. I'm trying to get rid of all these squeaks before I lay this flooring. Alright, so if you have carpet, there'll just be these carpet tack strips at the edge of the room. You'll want to remove those as well. Okay, so if you have carpet, you've got all the hard work done now, which is taking up the padding and the carpet itself. And now the tedious work begins, because you've got a million staples that you've got to pull out and remove. That way they don't cause a problem when you lay down the padding and the new laminate flooring. So I just have one of these staple pullers. These things are nice, but you could just as easily use a flathead screwdriver. So I'll go around and I'll pull all these staples, and then we'll get everything cleaned up. Alright, now that I got the subfloor secure, I'm going to switch it over and start laying the padding. I'm using this roll padding, but you could use a couple different styles, like the accordion or the red stuff, like the rubber. There's a ton of different options. This is what I'm going to use. We'll get started by rolling out the first row, and then we'll start laying the floor. Okay, so I'll just measure from the wall where I'm going to start and measure the same distance over into this area over by the far wall. And then I'll just snap a line between them, and that'll be my gauge. And I can measure from the flooring to that line to make sure I'm staying true. Alright, so I've got this line on the floor that I'm going to use as a gauge. Now, in my situation here, it actually is off to this wall, but I'm actually going to continue this flooring all the way to the back of the house. And I've pulled a line with a string to continue this line all the way to the back. And it's actually true from this wall, and then when I measure it in the far room to the other wall on the other side of the house, the line works out. So I'm just going to go with this line, even though it's slightly off this wall, kind of out of square. This wall is out of square. Now, if you're only doing one room, this is not an issue for you. I would just basically pull from one wall, check it with the other wall, and maybe you have to maybe slightly adjust it. But if everything's good, then just go with it. And you can just start setting the wood, pull over, and just gauge it off this. And then when you start getting so much laid, it kind of falls into place. So, having said all that, let's go ahead and start laying some floor. So the flooring is about 4 feet wide. It's like just shy of 4 feet. So I'm going to do a stagger pattern, and what I'll do is I'll just cut it every 12 inches. So I'll cut 12 inches off a piece, and then the next one I'll cut 24 inches off. Now I may be able to save some of those pieces for the far end and reuse them. But I'll try to make it worth my trip, so I'm not going up and down so many times. So I'll take 4 pieces, and I'll just mark them out and cut progressively 12 more inches off each one. At least then, I can start laying some flooring, and I'll basically lay it in 4-row segments. Okay, so I got my cuts here, and I've got the cut that I notched out. Okay, I've got this piece, and it just snaps right in. You just lift it and hinge it in place. Boom. Easy peasy. Alright, so to make this go in easily, you just take where normally you would just hinge it in shy of this gap. And then you just slide it over, lay it down, and you just use a block and tap it into place. There we go. So I'll do 2 more rows and then I'll have to put down another piece of padding. So now that we're done with the closet area, we've got to put another piece of padding down. We'll shift all the tools and everything over onto the new floor, and then we'll just basically keep going all the way until we finish. Alright, so you already saw me do it, but I'm just going to take a brief moment to talk about black cutting the actual jamb and the casing. Normally I just take a piece of scrap flooring and I set it right on the padding, and then I just plunge in with my oscillating saw, or fine saw, whatever you want to call it. So you could also do it with one of those Japanese jam saws, or you could even do it with a hand miter saw if you had a nice cut. And then you just basically mark out with the piece, so you're a little bit into the jamb, and a little bit into the jamb on both sides, basically. And then you just got to measure back where you need to be and make sure you're underneath the face of the jamb. Then you just cut that notch out and just slide it in. Now you also got to remember, I'm going into another room here. If you were only doing just one room, you would just basically do a gauge line. I like to do a line under where the door will be, because then you won't see the two different flooring transitions. And you could just go to that gauge line, and then when you're done, you just put a transition between the two types of flooring, and you're good to go. Now myself, as I'm going all the way back to the back of the house into another bedroom and this hallway, I had to kind of catch up where behind essentially the piece that I'm going out into the hallway from this bedroom with, I need to catch up the pieces that would be behind it, so to say. So this flooring worked out pretty well. I was able to install it reverse style, you could say, and it worked fine. So I do have an issue where I need to finish out this piece because I want to try to finish this room and get the base molding installed and caulked and filled, and then the homeowner can paint it, and then I can do the quarter round. And then he can move some of his bedding and items into this bedroom. And then I'll have kind of free reign to do the back bedroom and get the flooring laid in there. So I'm limited with how much hardwood I can actually put down here. So I'm going to try to do just this piece first and then slide this next piece in, because I've got an issue with the stairs I need to work out before I go any further. So right now we're just going to work on these last two pieces to get the flooring finished in this room. Eight and 7/8. 6 1/8. How much can I get under there? Let's try to get 3/8. 8 and 7/8, so that's 9 1/4. So that's 3 1/8. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna have to rip a little off of it. I'll rip something like this off of it. Something like that. Okay, cross your fingers. Here we go. I don't know if this is gonna work. I gotta drive it in there first, then I can tap it over. Come on. Go in there. Go. There we go. Gosh. Damn, that did not want to go in. Wow. Okay, we got it. We got it. Oh no. I ripped this whole piece. Oh my god. Man, it's amazing how easily it came out when it fought you so hard to go in. I needed to notch that basically and not rip it from that mark over. Damn it. Damn, I was so happy I was done. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this is the final attempt. I know this is an instructional video, but this is not in the instructions. There we go. So now that we got the flooring laid down, I'm going to just go ahead and take a moment to install the base molding, and that way I can let the customer paint it, and then I'll come back and finish off this room with the quarter round, which is stained to match the flooring. Oh yeah, not bad. Okay, so now we'll just caulk and fill everything, and then the homeowner can do the painting. So I got everything caulked, the homeowner's going to do the painting, and then tomorrow I'll come in and I'll put the stain match border round down, and that will essentially finish off this room. I hope you enjoyed this video and will join me next time when I have part 2 where I wrap up the rest of the flooring install here at this project. If you like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can get my content in the future. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed the job. I'll see you next time.